Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to the most famous Buddhist text in this world. Now, if you are new to Buddhism and if you'd like to learn more about Buddhism, this is one of the best books that you can read. So, the book's name is Dhammapada. Now, what is Dhammapada? Dhammapada is a set of verses that was originally preached by the Buddha himself, and this Dhammapada contains 423 verses in it, and these 423 verses are divided into 26 chapters. So why Dhammapada is important? You know, for Hindus we have Gita, and in Christianity we have Bible, and in Islam we have Quran. Same like that, to the Buddhist world we have Dhammapada. Now Dhammapada is not the only text that we have to learn Buddhism. There are many texts, but this is called as the Handbook of Buddhists. Why it is called as Handbook of Buddhists? If you went through 2-3 random pages and if you read on 2-3 verses, you can learn many life advices. You can learn many Dhamma facts about life. So that is why it is called the Handbook of Buddhists. So that is why it is widely used, and this is the most famous Buddhist text in this world. So as an example, if you turn to a random page and if you read a verse, you can find something very valuable. Let's go for that. So in 236th verse, the Buddha says, "Make an island for yourself. Strive hard and become wise. Get rid of impurities and cleanse of stain. You shall enter the celestial abode of the noble ones." It goes like that. So if you turn to another random page and if you read a verse, it goes like this. "The good shine even more afar, like the Himalayan mountain. But the wicked are unseen, like the arrows shot in the night." So if you turn to random pages and if you read, you can gain many life advices and many valuable Dhamma facts. So that is why we have to use this Dhammapada. If you are interested in using this Dhammapada, I will link down some links below that you can find Dhammapada and read it online also. And also there are some links that you can download the PDF file links down below. So this is the importance of Dhammapada, and that is why it is known as the most famous Buddhist books in this world. So that is the end of this little introduction video. So I hope you found something very valuable to your life. So practice Dhamma and practice good deeds. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now in today's video, we're going to talk about how to handle a heartbreak and how to heal your heart. One of our viewers have asked from us that how can I handle my sorrow of losing a loved one? And how can I handle the heartbreak? The sorrow of heartbreak? Well, first of all, I must say, a heartbreak or losing a loved one is one of the most hardest experiences that a human can undergo, right? Because we have that mental bond and mental attachment within people. When that mental attachment is broken, we start to suffer. We start to cry and we start to wail. So there are some ways that you can get over this sorrow. So this whole video is dedicated for all the people out there who are going through heartbreaks and who are experiencing tough times in their life. So I think this video will help you to have some light on your way. So there are some ways and things that we can do to heal ourselves. But remember, this healing process takes time. It's like a wound, right? Wound is not healed in a day or 2 days or 3 days. It takes time, right? So we have to be in a constant process of healing that wound. So same goes with a heartbreak. So what we can do to heal our heart from a heartbreak. Number one, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry. Remember that, right? There are some people who are going through heartbreaks and they don't like to cry. They pretend to be they're okay, right? They pretend to the world that they are okay and they have got over the problem. They smile, but not inside. Remember, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry, right? Go to a private place or go to your room and cry. It's okay, because crying is one of the most natural way of removing the pressure that is building up inside your mind and inside your heart. So it's okay to cry, especially for men, because men always try to hide their tears and they pretend to be they're okay. But remember, men are also allowed to cry, okay? So if you need to cry and if you need to remove and release that pressure that is building inside, then it's not a problem of shedding a tear. Number two, you can find a person who you can share your pain and who you can share the sorrow and the pressure that is building inside you, right? Well, you need to be wise when you choose this person. Why? Because there are some people out there who give hate comments and hateful comments to the person who cheated you, right? When they give those hate comments and when they try to build up the hate within you, right? It is not good for you. It's not good for your mental health and it's not good for your physical health either. So what you have to do, choose the person wisely and share your pain with him. Find a person who can share that sorrow, right? That person can be your mother, your father, maybe one of your friends, maybe one of your teachers or mentors, whoever it is. Find a person who keep listening to you without saying anything, without giving many advice to you. Find a person who keeps listening to you, right? Find a person who you can share your pain that is building inside. That is the second step. And number three, this is the most important thing that you need to practice. And this is one of the things that many people who are in relationships doesn't like to think about. And what is that? Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said, Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavoti abhinnang paccavekitappa. What does that mean? Supreme Buddha said, always reflect and recollect in your mind that one day I have to be parted and separated from all the dear and agreeable people in my life. Isn't that the truth? Yes, it is. That is the truth. But we don't like to think about that when people are in relationships. They will think it will ruin their relationship. It will ruin the bond between people. But in reality, it is not. Remember, when you think that I have to be separated, one day I have to be separated from this person that is sitting in front of me, the person who I love most. One day I have to be separated from this person, at least at the death. So I have a little time to love this person, give my love, my kindness, my attention, my compassion to this person. So I must give this fullest love to this person. Remember, true love will never break your heart. That's amazing, isn't it? True love, when you love someone truly, if that person leaves you, you will never be heartbroken. But if you become attached to that person, if you are mentally too much attached to that person, and that attachment is the thing that breaks your heart. That is why Buddha said attachment brings the suffering to your life. So remember, true love will never break your heart, but the attachment does. Right? So if you are curious about what is true love and what is attachment, there's another video that has done by us about explaining the true love, so you can check out that. So remember, when you truly love someone, your heart will never be broken, right? So what you have to think is, always, whenever you are possible, you need to think, I have to be separated from these people around me, right? So when you think that, your mind is getting prepared to face that situation, right? You can imagine, how I'm going to recover myself if this person left me. How I'm going to do that, right? Then if your mind is pre-prepared for that situation, when you're going through such a situation in reality, you will start to think, this is what I was thinking about, right? So when your mind is get prepared to face that reality in the life, right? You can be more confident, you can be more strong when you face that situation in real life. So that is the thing that you have to always think about that. And also, remember, I told you, heartbreak is like a wound. Remember, if you need to heal this wound, you need to decrease the amount of touching it, right? Now, I don't say that you need to forget the person, right? You cannot forget the person, but you can reduce the amount of attention for those past thoughts. Because when you're alone, right, after a heartbreak, after a breakup, when you're alone, right, you're thinking about the moments and the things that happened in the past. The more you think about those things, the more you will be frustrated and the more you will be sad. So what you have to do, reduce the amount of attention that you are giving to that kind of thoughts, right? So you can do that, but you cannot forget that from time to time, those thoughts will haunt your mind. But when you're not giving much more attention, when you're not giving much attention to those kind of thoughts constantly, and with the time, it will fade away, right? So you don't try to stop the thoughts, but let the thoughts to fade away from your life. And keep this in your mind. Whatever the terrible situation that you are going through in your life, it is going to be changed one day. Because none of our life experiences are permanent, right? Every experience, every tough situation, every happy time, and every experience that we face in our own life are impermanent. They will change with the time. So remember, you're going to heal one day. You're going to be okay one day, right? So have some experience with these tough situations in our life. Remember, these experiences make our life more and more strong. So these are 5 things that you can do to heal your broken heart, right? So I hope you got some ideas to how to heal your broken heart. And most importantly, don't forget to remember what our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught. One day, we all have to be separated from every loving person around us. So we have a short time in this life, so we have to give our fullest love to these people around us and expect nothing from this world, because our expectations will make us suffering. So remember that. And I'm going to end this video with a nice quote, and that is, when you are heartbroken, cry, forgive, learn from your experiences, and let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now in today's video, we are going to learn how to correct a mistake that has done by a person without hurting their feelings. First of all, we all have to know that we all are humans and we make mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? You, I, we all are the people who are making mistakes. For sometimes, when we are dealing with people, when we live with people around us, we will see that the people around us are making mistakes. They do wrong things. Sometimes they may be the people who love you most. So in such times, we have to correct them. We have to show the correct path and we have to put them into the correct way. But when we do that, we do it in an unsuccessful way. Most of the time, we use anger, resentment, we use punishments to correct people. Remember, when you use anger, when you use the punishments, when you use the resentment to show the correct path to people, they will never correct their mistakes, right? Because when someone's mind is in anger, right, he cannot understand what is good and what is bad, what should be done and what should not be done. So there is a way, and there is a proper way to correct a mistake of a person. So how to do that? Now this way was taught by our great Arahant Sariputta. Our great Arahant Sariputta says that you need to establish 5 things inside your mind before reproving someone or before correcting a mistake that has done by a person. So what are these 5 things? Number 1, remember, you need to speak at the proper time. That means you need to show the mistake of that person at the proper time. So what is the proper time to show a mistake to a person? Remember, never show a mistake to a person when that person is in anger. Because when your mind is in anger, you cannot know what is good and what is bad and what should not be done and what should be done. Therefore, you need to wait until that person cools down. Right? Don't show the mistakes to people when they are in anger. They will never correct their mistakes. Right? That is the first step. And the second step, never show mistakes to people in public. Right? When that person is surrounded by some other people, never talk about their mistakes. Why? Because in these days, people have a bigger personality, right? People show a big image to the society, right? You have a Facebook account, you have an Instagram account, you are on social media, and you show something to this society, and you think that you are a person and you are like a kind of a person in this society. So when you show a mistake of that person in front of others, right? When you complain to that person in front of people, remember, you are not only damaging his mind, you're damaging his personality. Remember, damaging to one's personality is one of the most dangerous and most worst thing that a human can undergo. Therefore, never show the mistakes to people in front of others. If you want to show a mistake to a person, talk to them privately, right? Bring him under a shade or maybe a calm and quiet place and talk to them, right? They will like to hear that, right? So never show the mistakes to people in front of others. So that is the proper time. And the second thing, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak truthfully, right? That means you need to complain to the person that has done the mistake exactly, not to other people. Because sometimes, because of the misunderstandings, because of miscommunications, we complain to the people who have not done any mistake, right? We make false accusations. When someone is going through a false accusation, it is very hard for that person. Remember. Therefore, before complaining to someone, before showing a mistake to a person, find that exactly has this person done this mistake or not. Okay? So you need to be truthful. You need to find whether this person has done this mistake or not. Do not make false accusations. That is the second one. Number 3, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak gentle words. Never use harsh and rude words to explain the things to people, to explain the mistakes to people, right? When you use the hard and rude words, like the words of anger, right, they will shut their ears, they will shut their eyes. They don't like to hear the rude words. In case no one likes to hear rude words, right? Therefore, if you need to explain a mistake that has done by someone else, then speak kind and gentle words, right? Speak heartwarming words. Then they will start to hear that, because we have a higher sensitivity to love and kindness. Therefore, use the words of love and kindness to explain the mistakes to people. Then they will correct their mistakes. And number 4, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak in a beneficial way. Remember that. That means when you are speaking and when you are explaining that mistake to that person, you need to give that feeling that this person, the reason why this person is explaining this mistake to me is because he loves me, right? He wishes the development of me. That is why he's showing this mistake to me. You need to give that feeling to that person. So how to give that? So there's a way to show a mistake to a person. There's a way to complain about a mistake to a person. It's like this. First of all, you need to talk to that person privately. And first of all, in the first step, what you have to do is you need to give a value to that person. Let's say, for an example, one of your co-workers made a mistake. Now you have to show that mistake. So first of all, you need to give a value to his profession. You need to give a value to what he's doing in a company, right? First of all, you need to say, you are doing a great job in this company. You have a great value. You give a great value to this company. right? When you're praising that person, he will open their eyes and ears. And then in the second step, you need to show the mistake, but you have done this mistake, right? You're doing this mistake. Because of doing this mistake, because you're doing this mistake, there is a huge disadvantage for the company as well as for you. You have to explain like that. Then after that, after explaining the mistake to them, as the third step, again, you need to give a value to his profession, or you need to give a value to his life, right? You are doing a great job, so do not do this mistake again. You need to correct this. If you explain the mistake in that way, remember, everyone who you need to show the mistakes will correct their mistakes, right? And in the final thing, right, the final thing, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak with a heart of loving kindness, right? Not while harboring the hatred thoughts. Because so many people show the mistakes to other people, right? To maybe to your children, maybe to your husband or wife or colleagues or co-workers, whoever it is. You get the anger to your mind and then you start to speak, right? Never do that. You need to be kind to the people. You need to have the compassion inside you. With that, you can do a great job, right? You can heal others' hearts. And also, you can correct the mistakes of people successfully. So, you need to use your word wisely and properly, because your words can change the lives of people. Words are so powerful, it can make people, and also in the same way, it can break people. Therefore, when you show the mistakes to people, you need to speak kindly, gently, and in the proper time with a mind of love and kindness. So try this out and see the difference of your life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. Today, let's talk about something that is really, really important for all of our lives. Now, if you want to be good at anything that you want to be good at, let's say if you're studying, or if you're meditating, or if you are someone who is practicing the spiritual path, what is that one quality that you have to have in your life to be a master of it? If you're studying, what is that one quality that you have to have in your life to be a master? That is called consistency. Have you ever thought about why we are so good at bad habits or bad things? Bad things like anger, getting angry all the time, or feeling jealousy all the time, or bad things like procrastination or laziness. Why we are so good at these things? We are so good at these things because we have done it over a long period of time continuously, right? If you start getting angry, or if you start losing your temper again and again every single day, what will happen? You will be good at it, okay? If you are procrastinating the things that you want to do, then you will be a good procrastinator. So, one main important quality to be good at anything in this life, or to have a habit to our life, is consistency. That is why we are so good at bad things. So we can use this theory or this consistency for our own benefit, right? If you're someone who is studying, right, you have to do it every single day, again and again, repeatedly, even in the days where you don't feel like doing it. because that is the hardest part and that is the most important part. When you feel like not doing it, but if you keep doing it, if you keep moving forward, if you keep going through it, then you will be able to make a good habit of it. And once you become good at it, or once you make a habit in it, then it will be so easy for you. So that is why our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said that when you practice the spiritual path, right, when you practice meditations, do it again and again and again. Do not do it like here and there, once in a week, once in a blue moon. When you do that, and when you expect more results, you will never get it. So that is why Buddha said, Mettaya bhikkhave cheto vimuktya asevitaya bhavitaya bahuli kataya. Buddha said, when you practice the mind of loving kindness, this is about practicing the loving kindness, meditation and mind of loving kindness. Asevitaya bhavitaya bahuli kataya. That means you have to use that mind of loving kindness. You have to do it again and again, consistently, bahuli kataya. Use it again and again. When you do that, you will be good at it. And the loving kindness, or the love, or the patience, or the compassion will be a part of your life. Okay? So when you meditate, when you practice spiritual practice, or if you're studying, or if you're in a profession, if you are developing a skill, then what is the most important thing to have in your life to be good at it? The consistency. So do it on the days that you don't feel like doing it also, right? When you do that, when you move forward through it, then you will be a master of it. But here's the most important thing that you have to have. Do not judge your progress in your life, right? We are so busy to have quick progress, quick results, because we are used to this instant world, right? We live in an instant world, right? We can find everything we want in our mobile phone, right? If you want to Google something, instantly you get the results. So we are used to this instant world. But when it comes to the spiritual practice, when it comes to the soft skills or developing the skills that you want, it is not that easy and it is not that instant. You have to do it little by little, and you have to expect little progress from one session. So do not judge your progress. Do not judge your improvements. The most important thing is to do it every single day. Keep moving, and then you will be a master of anything that you want to be a master of. Okay? So I hope you got some idea about the consistency and the value of it. So keep practicing and keep doing these things. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to discuss with you about how can we become peaceful and how can we become calm from our mind. Now we know that we are living in a world where we are constantly bombarded and constantly overloaded with information, with distractions, and all of the chaos. So what happens when we live in such an environment is we become so reactive and we tend to lose our peacefulness, we tend to lose our calmness in our mind. And then what happens is our frustration, stress, and depression builds in. So how can we deal with this? And what can we do to eliminate these distractions and this constant chatter in our mind and have a peaceful mind in the middle of chaos? So today, I'm going to share a few tips where you can practice in your daily life. And then you can, if you practice this, it will be a great help to find peacefulness and calm in the middle of all the chaos. So the first thing that you have to understand is calmness and peacefulness is not an outer source. It doesn't come from outer world, right? It can be found within. So no matter where you live, no matter what the place you live, no matter what you do, if you really focus on this calmness,
And if you're clever enough to find that, then you will be able to find the calmness and peacefulness in the middle of all the chaos. So always remember, calmness and peacefulness should be built and should be developed within. Okay? And also, you have to remember one thing, that calmness and peacefulness is not about emptying your mind, right? When you become calm and peaceful, it doesn't say that there's nothing in your mind, no thoughts in your mind, right? Thoughts may appear in your mind, right? There will be lots of thoughts and train of thoughts will be appear in your mind. But when you become really calm and when you become serene from your mind, you tend to not to react to all those stimulations. That is what the real calmness and peacefulness means. Okay? Normally, when the thoughts appear, right? When all these kind of trains of thoughts appear in our mind, what happens to us is we oftenly react to them, right? We become panicked and we tend to react to them. So the reason why this happens is because we think that thoughts as us. And we tend to think that I am what I think and I am my thoughts. But in reality, thoughts are not you. You are not your thoughts, right? Thoughts are just like they're coming and going. It's like clouds, right? There's the sky and there's the clouds, right? So what is the nature of a cloud? It comes and it swarms around and it goes off, right? Sometimes the sky is cloudy, sometimes the sky is moody, sometimes the clouds are scattered here and there, and sometimes the sky is empty. So you are like the sky and your thoughts are like the clouds, okay? So there's a huge distance between the sky and the clouds. But we often think that the clouds as the sky. Sometimes when it is raining, sometimes when it is moody, we blame to the sky, right? We tend to say that, oh, this weather is not okay. The sky is always raining and it's moody. But sky is not raining. Clouds are what forms the rain, right? Clouds forms the rain. So same as that, when the thoughts appear in your mind, you can take a little step back and think, should I react to this? Should I react upon these thoughts? For an example, if an angry thought came to your mind, what should you do? Just pause a little bit and think, should I react to this? You can have a little bit of a time and think about it. Oh, this is anger. I should not react to this. This is jealousy. I should not react to this. Okay? It's okay to have thoughts in your mind. But if you want to be peaceful, you should not, and you should choose to not to react to those thoughts. So there are a few practices where we can do in our daily life to to make a little bit of a help to this peacefulness and calmness. One thing that you can do is that you can slow down your body movement for a little time period of the day. Maybe like when you have time and when you're working by yourself, maybe like you're walking, maybe like you're writing something, or maybe like you're studying. Try to maintain slow body movements. Now, why I say this? Because our body and our mind is highly interconnected. Okay? When our thoughts become panicked, our body become panicked. So in the other way, if we calm down and if we slow down our bodily movements, it will be a great help for us to slow down the thought process. Then you can take a little time and think about what comes to your mind. That is one thing that you can do. And also there's another great practice that Buddha told us to do, that is called breathing meditation. When you do the breathing meditation, you reduce these heavy loads of thoughts into 2 thoughts, in breath and out breath. In breathing meditation, all what we are doing is we are constantly becoming aware of in breath and out breath. When you do that, it's sort of like condensing your mind. It's sort of like making your mind soft and peaceful and non-reactive. That is what you can do. And also there's another thing that you can do is to not to judge your thoughts and to be aware of your thoughts. I will give you an example. It's like you're watching a traffic pass by the side of the road, right? You can see cars and bikes and vans and buses are going, but you're not going to judge them. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to chase behind them. You sit by the road and you just watch them. Let the vehicles be the vehicles and you be you. In the same way, let the thoughts be the thoughts and you be you. When you become less reactive to your thoughts, you can find that peacefulness and calmness in your mind. So I hope you got some light about the calmness and peacefulness from this video. So I hope may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you be calm and peaceful forever. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome back to another video. From today's video, we're going to discuss about the approach of non-violence in Buddhism. Now, how Buddha approaches the non-violence is in a most skillful way. Now, we all know that almost all the religion speaks about non-violence. And how Buddha approaches the non-violence is in a more different way. The Buddha says that to see from the perspective of the other person, put yourself to the perspective of the other person and think that if I were to go through such an experience, if I were to go through such an experience in my life, how would I feel? By thinking about this, you should let go of the anger, let go of the rudeness, let go of the violence. That is the Buddha's explanation of practicing the non-violence. The Buddha says, Attanang upamang katva nahaneyana ghate. First of all, put yourself into the perspective of the other person and think, if I were to say like this, if I went through this kind of experience, if I'm going to be rude to someone, if I'm going to be violent to someone, but if I became the victim, how would I feel? And when you think about that, when you think about from that perspective, you know that you don't like this violence. You don't like someone become violent to you or rude to you or mean to you. And when you understand this, the Buddha says that by understanding that that is the pain that every other person will go through in their life if I do the same thing to them, then I don't want to do that. That is how we let go of the anger. The Buddha says that anger doesn't resolve anything. There is not a single problem that is solved through anger. People all over the world try to solve problem through revenge. Look at the world. Look at the wars that are currently going on in this world. What happens? We're trying to take revenge on each one of us, on each other. And finally, no one solves the problem, but only the innocent lives will be destroyed. There's a beautiful saying that I read in the book of Art of War. It says that the destroyed buildings can be built up again, right? The friends who became enemies will become friends again. And the destroyed cities can build up again. But you cannot bring back a dead person back to life. So understand that war is not good for any kind of nation, any kind of country, any kind of people. So that we have to understand that violence doesn't solve anything in this world. It creates only the loops of anger. Now, by loops of anger, what I mean is that, let's say one party, let's say one country is attacking another country. Okay, you see this in Iran and Israel, right? You see this in Ukraine and Russia in this world. Let's say one country is attacking another country, right? Let's say you see this in almost all the wars, right? One country is attacking another country. What happens? They come and kill these people, okay? And there are people
who are very close to them. And the people who got killed, there are the other people who are very close to them. What happens to them? They become angry. They build up the hate inside them. They swear to take revenge on the other party. So what do? They go and kill the other people. And then what happens? There are close relatives and close people to them as well. And they swear to take revenge again. And they come back and they kill again. So this will never end. So that is why anger creates nothing but the destruction, the destroying of this world, right? But only through letting go, only through forgiving that we can solve a problem, okay? That is why we have to be brave enough to let go and forgive, even though it is difficult. I know to say to let go is easy. I know that to say that forgive is easy. But to do, it is difficult. It is hard. It is hard for me. It is hard for you. It is hard for everyone. That is the truth. But even though it is difficult, it is hard, it is painful, we have to do that if we need to stop the problem continuing, right? That is why the Buddha said that put yourself in the perspective of the other person and think that if I were to go through such a situation, how would I feel? How much pain that I will go through? How much I will suffer? And then the Buddha says, let go of that anger. Let go of the hatred. On the day you let go of the hatred, on the day that you let go of that anger, it will never create a loop of anger, which will destroy the future generations. You're the one, if you take the choice to stop it, you are the one is not letting your future generations to be destroyed. So even though I know forgiving, letting go is not easy, even though it is difficult, it is hard, it is painful, we have to do it. And that is how we stop the anger. And that is the approach in Buddhism about the non-violence. So keep this little reminder in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. We all know that forgiving is difficult, right? It is easier said than done. Now, even in forgiving, it is very easy to forgive for the mistakes that other people have done to us. But it is really, really difficult to forgive for our own mistakes, for the mistakes that we have done in the past, right? And so many people, most of us worry about the things that has happened in the past, about the things that we said in the past, about how we act in the past, how we lived in the past. And we get stuck in these mistakes and we waste a lot of time, right? But the Buddha teaches us a way to look at these mistakes and how to move on and how to move through them and how to grow through them. So from this video, we are going to discuss about how can we deal with the mistakes that we have done in the past and how can we correct them and how can we deal with them. So I want to share with you how the Buddha advised for the monks who have done mistakes and how they got the advice to deal with it. So the Buddha says, Buddhissa bhikkhu ariyassa vinaye yo achayang achayato disva yatha dhammang patikaroti ayathing sangvarang apajati. The Buddha says, for it is growth in the training of nobles to recognize a mistake for what it is, deal with it properly, and commit to restrain in the future. So the Buddha says, the first step of understanding and first step of dealing with a mistake that has done in the past is to accept it, to see the mistake as it is, to see the wrong thing as a wrong thing. This is called acceptance. Now, one of the most difficult things for us to do is to accept that we have done mistakes. Why? Because there is something that hurt us in our mind, right? It is a really big problem, and that is nothing but the ego. We always think, okay, we are right, we are correct, and I will never do mistakes. But the reality is, we all are humans. We all have imperfections. We all have defilements in our minds, so that we make mistakes, right? There's a saying that says, as long as you make mistakes, you are human. So understand, you're a human and you make mistakes, and the nature of your mind is to make wrong choices, wrong things, and do the mistakes. For that, you're okay with it, right? So that you understand the nature of your life, that I'm a human and I make mistakes, so you accept it. When you accept it, you don't hate yourself. Now, the problem is not the mistake. The problem is worrying about it, brooding over it, holding on to it, and wishing that, I wish I couldn't do that. I wish I didn't say that. No, I wish I didn't act like that. So that we waste a long, long time, right? A valuable time that we can use to create something better for our life. So that the Buddha says, accept the mistake, right? Accept that you have done the mistake. Remember, acceptance is the first step of healing, right? Acceptance is the first step of healing, so that you don't hate yourself, so that you are not in war with yourself. Now you open up your mind to move on. So the Buddha says, see the wrong thing as a wrong thing, right? See the mistake as a mistake and accept that you have done it. So the first step of dealing with a past mistake or wrong thing that you have done in the past is to accept it. So after accepting, now what to do? The Buddha says, now reveal it to someone who can understand you, right? Confess it. How to do that? You find someone who can understand you, right? Who can give you a good advice and who doesn't judge you, and say to him that I did this mistake, right? This mistake was happened from me. Now, why should you confess it? Now, when you confess it, you're sharing what is inside you with someone who can understand you. Okay, there are many good things when you confess. One thing is that your mind becomes free, right? Because after doing a mistake, if a mistake had happened, one thing that keep criticizing us is our mind, ourself, right? So that understand, when you confess, you can free your mind, right? Your heart is not complaining you, so that you opened up yourself, right? That is one good thing that happens when you confess. And also, you get good advice from them, how to deal with it. Sometimes, for some problems, we cannot deal with alone, right? You don't have to deal with each and every problem alone, right? You can ask for help. One thing that it is really, really, really difficult to do is to ask for helps, right? But if we ask it, the helps will be given from the right people, right? That is why the Buddha says, do not go around saying your mistakes to everyone, but find at least one person, right? We all can find at least one person who can understand us, who doesn't judge us from our mistakes, and also who can give us good advice. Okay, that is the good thing about having noble friends around you. Okay, so the Buddha says, confess it. Open up yourself to someone who is very wise and who can give you advice. And then the Buddha says, the next step is to take right actions to not to happen it again, not to make that mistake again and again. So the Buddha says, Yatha dhammang patikaroti, I think sangvarang apajati. To be restrained in the future, to not to do that mistake and not to make that mistake happen again and again. And that is why they say that 100 times the same mistake is regression, right? If you do the same mistake 100 times, then there is no development, right? But 100 times different mistakes is progression, right? We will do thousands and thousands of mistakes in this life, but from every mistake, if we take the decision to not to happen it again, right, and you learn from it, and you will make mistakes again and again, but you learn from them. Understand that every difficult situation, every mistake that you make in life is a great lesson. But the problem is, we think that we should not be making mistakes, we should not be doing wrong things, and we think that we will be perfect forever. But in reality, we are not. So that acceptance, confession, and taking right action to not to it happen again is the way to deal with the mistakes. Understand, as long as you are human, I will say this again, as long as you are human, you will make mistakes. Accept them, confess them, and then take right action to not do it to happen again, so that you can learn from your mistakes and you can grow through them. Keep this in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. In Buddhism, there is a practice called Sila. Sila is the way of self-discipline and moral conduct and virtuous behavior. So let's talk about Sila from this video. So fundamentally, all Buddhists practice 5 precepts. These 5 precepts are abstaining from killing beings, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from telling lies, and abstaining from using intoxicating drinks and drugs. So these are the 5 precepts that all laymen and laywomen practice. And on Poya days or full moon Poya days and full moon days, which is a special day for all Buddhists, they practice 8 precepts. And for a novice monk or a junior monk, they get 10 precepts to practice. And for a senior monk or a higher ordained monk, they have 227 precepts to practice. So a lot of disciplinary codes and a lot of precepts and a lot of, you might think, a lot of rules, right? This is a complaint that most of the time that I hear from people who are new to Buddhism. They say, oh, there are a lot of rules, there are a lot of disciplinary codes, and there are a lot of restrictions. It kind of steals my freedom. But here's the thing. Buddhist precepts are not meant to be rules. They are not rules. They are self-disciplinary virtues that Buddha introduced to practice to keep the mind out of regret and to keep the mind more wholesome, to bring the mind to a more wholesome state. So why did Buddha introduce this practice as a sila or a disciplinary, these virtues or moral conducts or precepts? Why did he do that? The reason is the Buddha realized when someone engaged in such activities like breaking a precept, it accumulates bad karma or unwholesome karma. And what unwholesome karma leads to? That leads to suffering or regret. For an example, if someone kills animals or kill living beings, that needs to, he must create a lot of unwholesome intentions like violence, cruelty, and harmful thoughts, right? So these thoughts will lead to harmful results or suffering. The Buddha said that intention is the karma. Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami. Monks, I say, the intention is the karma. So as intention is the karma, if someone generates more unwholesome intentions, then he will accumulate more unwholesome karma, which leads to unwholesome results or suffering as a result. So the Buddha said, it is much better to stay away from these actions which leads to suffering in life. And that is why Buddha introduced Sila as a practice to be disciplined from your body and from your words, to live a life of less regret, right? So most of the time, people, when they commit or when they do these such offenses, or I would say when they do such unwholesome actions, what is the final result? It leads to the regret, right? They think like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. maybe after a long time, they'll think like, I shouldn't have done that. To stay away from that regret, to stay away from your mind complaining to yourself that you're a bad person, you did this bad thing, to stay away from that, the Buddha said, be disciplined. Live a life of self-discipline, or live a virtuous life. That is why Buddha introduced these precepts as sila. And also remember that if someone breaks such a precept, there is not a person, or there is not any God who is going to punish that person. Buddha is not coming to punish you, okay? So if someone breaks the precepts, the Buddha introduced a way to make it correct, okay? If you did a mistake, the Buddha said that it is okay to do mistakes. Mistakes can happen, but you have to correct that mistake. Understand that mistake as a mistake, okay? Understand that offense as an offense and correct it. The way to correct an offense or a mistake is to be open up. Do not hide that offense. Do not keep that mistake in your life and hide it and cover up and live like pretend to be a good person. The Buddha said, if you did an offense, be opened up. Tell it to a wise person who can understand you and who can forgive you. Tell it to that person and free your mind. Okay? That is why in monk's tradition, usually in monk's disciplinary codes, if a monk did an offense, or it is called apatti in monk's tradition. If apatti has happened, a mistake has happened, the way that we can correct that mistake is to go to a brother monk or a spiritual companion and to be open up to him, to say that I did this offense, this mistake has happened within me, so I'm going to correct it. I'm trying my best to protect and to be disciplined hereafter. And that is the way that we correct our mistakes. So you may be wondering, what is the use of practicing sila or being disciplined? So in Kimattiya Sutta, the Buddha explained this to Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda asked from the Buddha, Bhante, what is the purpose and benefit of wholesome, virtuous behavior, which is sila? The Buddha says, Ananda, the purpose and benefit of wholesome, virtuous behavior is non-regret. By practicing sila, it leads to non-regret. And what is the purpose and benefit of non-regret? The purpose and benefit of non-regret is joy. And what is the purpose and benefit of joy? The purpose and benefit of joy is rapture, is more spiritual pleasure. And what is the purpose and benefit of rapture? The purpose and benefit of rapture is tranquility. And what is the purpose and benefit of tranquility? The purpose and benefit of tranquility is pleasure. And what is the purpose and benefit of pleasure? The purpose and benefit of pleasure is concentration. And what is the purpose and benefit of concentration? The purpose and benefit of concentration is the knowledge and vision of things as they are, the realization of reality. And what, Bhante, is purpose and benefit of the knowledge and vision of the things as they are? The purpose and benefit of knowledge and vision of things as they are is disenchantment and dispassion. And what is the purpose and benefit of disenchantment and dispassion? The purpose and benefit of disenchantment and dispassion is the knowledge and vision of liberation. So the whole practice, whole steps leads to the liberation. So one must practice the Buddhist precepts to find the liberation, which we call vimukti in Buddhist tradition. So being disciplined, it will make you liberate. So someone can think being disciplined and having these disciplinary codes will lead to like restricted life, more difficult life, more boring life. Someone can say, usually people say that, oh, monks' life is so boring. They have a lot of things to, like a lot of restrictions and a lot of rules to practice. It is difficult, it is boring. Actually, the monk's life is so interesting and more enjoyable and more happy because so many things, like you haven't tried this. That is why some people think that this is boring. But this is one thing, one life that one can enjoy very much and which is very peaceful. So always remember, by being disciplined, you can free your mind. And that is why we believe that discipline leads to the freedom. So that is why in Buddhism, it is practiced the sila or the self-discipline. So this is a little information about sila or the practice of self-discipline in Buddhism. So I hope you got some idea about this. So let's meet in the next video. Namo Buddhaya. One of the things that many people misunderstand about Buddhism is, I've heard this a lot, they say that Buddhism is negative. Buddhism is very pessimistic. It speaks about death and dying and sickness and crying. Why Buddha speaks about negative stuff? Can't we have something joyful and happy about this life? Well, from this video, we're going to talk about, is Buddhism really negative? So here's the reason why a person might come to a conclusion that the Buddha's teachings are quite pessimistic and it is negative. It is because of the first noble truth. Now, what is the first noble truth? It is dukkha in Pali language, which is literally translated as suffering or stress. Now, these words have deeper meanings. When Buddha speaks about dukkha, Buddha means about deep things about life. But when you look at this word, suffering or stress or dukkha, one might come to a conclusion that, oh, Buddha speaks about suffering, right? Buddha says that life is suffering. But when you look at the life, there are things that we can be happy about life. And also there are moments that we have a lot of joyfulness in our life. So why Buddha speaks about negative stuff? And also the Buddha explains in his first sermon about the first noble truth, the dukkha, as like this. Now the Buddha says, now this, monks, is the noble truth of stress or suffering. Birth is stressful, aging is stressful, death is stressful, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair are stressful. Association with the unbeloved is stressful. Separation from the loved is stressful. Not getting what is wanted is stressful. In short, the 5 clinging aggregates are stressful. Now, when someone look at this explanation, they might come to a conclusion, oh, life is stressful. So that is the reason for so many people to say that Buddha speaks about negative stuff. But if you really understand about what Buddha meant by this, you will find that Buddhism is not negative or pessimistic. It is more realistic. Okay? So why Buddha speaks about this? It is because this is the common truth that we all share in all living beings. No matter what level of life that we have, we all share these things, these truths in our life. That is a common truth. So Buddha saw this, and that is why Buddha speaks about this. So yes, it seems to be pretty miserable, right? But wait until you hear the second noble truth. What is the second noble truth? It is called the samudaya, the origin of suffering. Now Buddha says there's a reason why we suffer. What is the origin of this suffering? Now, Buddha explains that the reason why we suffer is because of tanha. Tanha means craving, literally translated as craving. But there is more to this word, okay? So why we suffer is because we have this craving and attachment towards things, okay? Towards things, people, and to ourselves as well. So, and it gets better when you hear the third noble truth. The Buddha says that you can end the suffering. The third noble truth is called nirodha, the cessation. Now, the Buddha says that you can end the suffering by letting go of the cause of the suffering, right? I will repeat it again. You can end the suffering when you let go of the cause of the suffering, right? So it is pretty obvious, right? Pretty realistic. Let's understand about it like this. Suppose you have an unwanted plant in your garden. Now what you want to do? You want to remove this. So how are you going to remove this? Let's say a person goes and cut it from the stem. Cut down that plant from the stem. Did you permanently remove it? No. It grows back. No matter how many times you cut this plant from the stem, it will grow back. But if you really need to remove the plant, what you have to do is you have to go into roots, dig the plant, and then remove the roots, and then it will never grow back, right? Same like that, if you remove the root of suffering, if you remove the cause of suffering, then you will end the suffering. Not only the Buddha says that you can end the suffering, but also Buddha introduce you to a path where you can end the suffering. And that is the fourth noble truth. It is called the Magga, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, Noble Eightfold Path is a moral and ethical and psychological and more practical path that leads to the cessation or end of the suffering. So basically, the Buddha is like a doctor, okay? So what a doctor might do? He might come to a patient and says, hey, listen, let's be honest that you have this disease. You have to be honest. I know it is painful. I know it is very negative and pessimistic to talk about this, but let's be honest. If you need to cure this disease, you need to focus on it. Okay, we have to talk about it. We have to find a way out of it. So the doctor says that there is a disease. He will be honest with you, and he says, and he comes with the good news, and that is that you can cure this disease. Okay, we can cure this disease, and I will show you how to cure this disease. And also the doctor will say that take these pills and take these medicines to end your disease or to cure your disease. And same like that, Buddha identifies your disease, and he talks about that disease, and also Buddha identified what causes this disease, and also the Buddha comes up with the positive, more happy news that you can end this suffering, okay? And also Buddha comes up with a way to end this suffering. So if you look at it in that way, Buddhism is not pessimistic. It is not negative. It is more realistic because Buddha talks about the truth in this life. What is the truth? It is the first noble truth. That is the suffering. Suffering is the only thing that we all share commonly in this world. No matter what level in this life that we are in, we all suffer. Okay, wealthy people, no matter how much rich you are, no matter how much poor we are, we all suffer and we all share these sufferings. What is that? Suffering of sickness, suffering of death, suffering of diseases, suffering of aging, suffering of despair, lamentation, crying. This is something that is very common to all of us. And talking about it and thinking about it might not be a negative thing, because most of the time what we are doing is we are running away from this truth. We don't like to talk about it. We always like to forget about it. And also we have found many creative things to forget the suffering, not to end the suffering. Okay, we think that we end the suffering, but it grows back. It comes back. Same like you're removing a plant from a stem. So what Buddha what Buddha shows you is a path to go into the root of this problem and remove the root, remove the origin, remove the cause to end the suffering. So remember that Buddhism is not negative and it is not pessimistic. It is more realistic and it is more practical. So I hope you got some idea about what Buddha teaches you. So that is all for this video, and see you in the next video. Namo Buddhaya.